Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 15th and 16th September 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So, these are the topics which we are going to analyze in today's session. Have a look at it. Okay. The first news is why Saudi Arabia matters. From the name of the topic itself, we could able to know that why the Saudi Arabia matters for India. It is the editorial which came in today's newspaper, where we will be analyzing the different aspect of the Saudi Arabia as well as its importance to India. At one of the outcome of the G20 summit which was held recently, the India as well as US and Saudi Arabia has launched India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor to build infrastructure to connect the India as well as Middle East as well as the European countries. And India, Saudi recently have upgraded their hydrocarbon energy partnership to comprehensive energy partnership, which includes both crude oil as well as petroleum products. And what is the historical aspect of the Indian Saudi Arabia relationship is that it starts with 1947's establishment of diplomatic relationship, and then during 2006 it is one of the watershed year for Saudi Arabia as well as India's relationship. Why it is the King Abdullah visited India, which resulted into Delhi Declaration. As a follow-up to it, in 2010, our Indian Prime Minister visited the Saudi Arabia, as a result of which Riyadh Declaration was signed, which upgraded the India-Saudi Arabia relationship to the strategic partnership level. And after 2014, precisely during 2016, our Indian Prime Minister visited Saudi Arabia to upkeep the enhanced spirit of the bilateral cooperation between the India as well as Saudi Arabia. And then during 2019, a 100 billion investment by Saudi Arabia to India was signed, along with 6 memorandum of understanding. In that, one of the memorandum of understanding was signed, which ensured that Saudi Arabia will be joining the international solar alliances, which was formed by India as well as France. And during the same year, 2019, Strategic Partnership Council, headed by the head of the both governments, to oversee the policy formulation in relation to the India as well as Saudi Arabia relationship. And then there are some important pillars which strengthens the India-Saudi Arabia's relationship. What is it is? First is economic ties. India is the Saudi's second highest trading partner, and in bilateral trade nearly $52.76 billion, and which is nearly 4.53% of India's trade with Saudi. And then India invested nearly 2 billion in Saudi Arabia. On the other hand, Saudi invested nearly $3.5 billion on the different sectors of Indian economy. And the second important pillar is the energy cooperation. From the previous slide, we have seen that India-Saudi Arabia relationship have upgraded their relationship between them from hydrocarbon partnership to the comprehensive energy partnership. And the second aspect is India is the third large crude as well as petroleum products, which was imported from Saudi is the India's third largest crude as well as petroleum product country. From Saudi is the third highest country from where the India sourcing its crude as well as petroleum product, and nearly 16.7% of crude import and then 11.2% of the petroleum products being imported by India from the Saudi. These percentage are overall percentage of India's energy need. Out of overall percentage of the India's energy need. And the third important pillar is defense partnership. Right now, the defense relationship between India as well as Saudi Arabia, especially in the naval cooperation, has enhanced, and it led to a new form of naval exercise called as Hal Muhammad Hal Hindi. And right now, India as well as Saudi have agreed to cooperate in investing in the defense related industries and also capacity building of those people who are involved in the defense related industries. And in the nearly 2.4 million Indian diaspora are being present in Saudi Arabia, and also Saudi Arabia has supported India in various evacuation process. For example, the recent Sudan conflict has strangled the Indian citizen inside the country, but with the help of Saudi Arabia, India could able to evacuate those citizens who have been strangled inside the Sudan country because of the civil conflict that was happening during the time. Such kind of humanitarian efforts to safeguard the Indian citizen in the Saudi as well as other Middle East countries are helped by Saudi Saudi Arabia, and then there has been enhanced cooperation in terms of combating the terrorism as well as its finance related activities, and both India as well as Saudi Arabia are in tune with the policy of combating terrorism as well as its financing. How the news has been related to examination is, under prelims the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Under mains it is related to GS paper 2, bilateral, regional, global grouping and agreement involving India affecting Indian interest. So these are all the things. This is how the news has been related to the syllabus. Okay, what is the challenge in the relationship is that because of the complex Middle East politics, that there has the dynamics between the India as well as Saudi Arabia has enhanced, so that there need to be a balance of interest to maintain the relationship between the relation between the India and Saudi Arabia. Why it is that in Middle East there are three poles: Israel, Saudi as well as Iran. And India is having good relationship with three of them, but there has been conflict between these three of them. So there need to be a balance. So this kind of internal conflict between them is posing a direct challenge to the India's relationship with China. Similarly, Saudi and Iran rivalry, because it is not only because of the rivalry between the Saudi as well as Iran is not because of the border issue. It is also because of the cultural as well as ethnic factors. So these are all the things which is posing a huge challenge for the India's relationship with Saudi. And then what needed to be studied is, and also there is some ideological conflict. Why? Because India supports democracy, but in the case of Saudi, they are till now it is a kind of monarchical countries, and which is ruled by one family. So there has been conflict in terms of ideology also. So what needed to be studied further is, we should know about the entire Middle East geography itself. Similarly, there we should also know about what is the Abraham Accord Declaration, which are all the countries involved in the Abraham Accord Declaration. Similarly, we should also know about what is Gulf Cooperation Council and then OPEC, as well as OPEC plus. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of in terms of India-Saudi Arabia relationship. Striking a green balance. See, right now Indian government has drafted the Indian carbon market framework. Why? Because right now India is developing at a rate way higher than the other developing countries. But this development is posing a direct challenge to the environmental factors, and also it is confronting with the challenges of the climate change consequences. In order to overcome this, in the Indian carbon market draft framework have been released by central government, and there has been segments which is very hard for abatement of the carbon footprints. The segments are cement, chemical, iron and steel industries, and the Indian carbon market could enable the enhancement of innovations, as well as it could be able to access the finance as well as technology, and then it could also enable the country to get relief from the carbon border adjustment mechanism, that is the tax which has been made on the product which has high carbon footprints, and also it has a greater scope for coverage in terms of reducing the carbon footprints. So these are all the positives in relation to the carbon market, which is being right now the draft framework has been introduced by Government of India to reduce the carbon footprint that is arising from the industries. And how the news is related to examination is, under prelims the news has been related to general issues on environmental and ecology, biodiversity and climate change that do not require specialization. Similarly, under mains paper 3 environment, it is related to conservation, environmental pollution degradation and environmental impact assessment. Okay, let's discuss about what is the global warming potential. The global warming potential is the impact that a particular greenhouse gas could create on the atmosphere as well as the earth, and in that the carbon, we could be able to see that in the carbon dioxide has the greenhouse potential of 1 and the methane has greenhouse potential of 21. What does this 121 means is, the methane gas is 21 times powerful than the carbon dioxide in terms of the negative impact that it could cause on the environment because of its potential to create the global warming and also the negative climate change consequences. And also we could be able to see that nitrous oxide has 310 global warming potential, and then hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons are having increased number of global warming potential. From the lifetime, that is one carbon dioxide could be able to live in the atmosphere for nearly 100 years. Similarly, methane 12 years, nitrous oxide 120 years, hydrofluorocarbons 1 to 270 years, and the perfluorocarbon is 800 to 50,000 years. So this kind of impact these greenhouse gases are creating on the atmosphere, and because of their longer stay in the atmosphere, they could be able to observe the more number of, one minute, there has been technical glitch. Yes, because of their longer presence in their atmosphere, they could be able to absorb more number of the solar radiation that is reflected back from the earth, which in turn enhance the global warming. And global warming is raised means then the related impact, negative impact on the surrounding in the earth will also get increased. So this is what the global warming potential is about. What is the challenge the carbon market faces is the carbon market has the lack of standardization on the carbon credits. So what kind of standards, how the standards has been fixed, what are the scientific parameters been involved in fixing those standards? There has been a lot of debate on it. And then similarly, there has been issues related to integrity and also the lack of transparency in terms of the carbon credit as well as the carbon transfer mechanism is also there in carbon market. These are all the challenges it makes on the carbon market. And then lack of scientific measurement of the carbon effect. So what is the economical value of the carbon, economical damage the carbon creates in the environment? There is no scale, proper consensus, proper scale to read the economic value that or the economic impact the carbon creates on the environment. And then increase in the energy price. How it will lead to increase in energy prices? Because of the effort to reduce the carbon footprint in the industries, more importantly the energy industries, there will be increase in the input of the energy production, as a result of which the corresponding output price of the energy will also get raised, which in turn will be affecting the consumers, those who are buying the energy. So these are all the challenges it forces on. These are the challenges of carbon market. What is the impact does it create on climate change? Is that what is the impact of climate change on the in general is it will be reducing the productivity of the agriculture. Why? Because of, as we all know, Indian agriculture system depends mainly on rainfall. Because of the climate change as well as its negative consequences, there has been increased erratic nature of the rainfall, as a result of which the crop productivity gets affected, which in turn reduces the production of or harvesting of the agriculture. And then it will be reducing the water stress. Because of the increased global temperature, there has been it has disturbed the natural water cycle phenomenon, which in turn causes huge kinds of water stress. And then climate change has increased the sea ice melting, which in turn raised the sea level, and also it is because of this kind of increase in sea level, and also because of the increase in global warming, there has been increased ocean acidification is also taking place. And then because of the water stress, and also this kind of and also because of the reduced agriculture production, the biodiversity is also getting affected. The flora fauna whose life forms are dependent on the ocean as well as water, and also those biodiversities whose life forms dependent on the ice caps are also getting affected. And then because of the increased water stress, and also the food scarcity that arises because of the climate change, the health will also get affected. So these are all the impact of climate change. So what needed to be studied further is we should know about what is greenwashing. Similarly, we should also know about what is carbon tax, caps and trade, as well as carbon offsetting. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. For Indian Air Force, made in India, why the new C-295 aircraft are big deal? IAF received its First of its 56 C-295 aircraft, which is manufactured in Spain, and it will be replacing the Avro 748 fleet, which is the medium range fleet which was commenced its operation during 1960s. And C-95 will be powered by two Pratt as well as Whitney turbo engines, and the aircraft can cruise at 30,000 feet and can carry up to nearly 9-10 tons of payload. Similarly, it has the ability to short takeoff and then landing. Short takeoff means the runway required for the takeoff of the C-295 aircraft is very less. So it could able to take off as well as land in the difficult terrains also. And then, as I said, it will be replacing the Avro medium range fleet. And what is the positive does it creates in the Air Force? More importantly, the Indian Air Force is, it could able to carry the troops from one place to another, and also it could act as a logistical carrier, and also it could also able to refuel the aircraft that is involved in the combat operation, and also airborne signaling, as I said, carry troops as well as the logistics. Surveillance. So these are all the positive things it has, and it is going to be the first ever aerospace program which is going to be manufactured by the Indian company along with the partnership of the Spain based company. Right now, the Hindustan Aeronautical Limited has monopolized the manufacturing of the aerospace in India, but it is going to be first time manufactured by the Tata company along with the partnership with the original producers, the Airbus, which is in Spain. So this is what the news is related to. Since the news is related to C-295 as well as its positive impact it creates on the Indian Army, more importantly Indian Air Force, and also it brings the indigenization program into reality. And we have to know about what kind of effect does this indigenization creates. Before that, we will discuss about how the news has been related to syllabus. Under prelims, it is related to general science. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 3, science and tech, achievements of Indians in science and technology, indigenization of technology and developing new technology. So let's discuss about what is the advantages of indigenization. Because of the indigenous as well as enhancement of the capacity, there will be reducing the import dependence, as a result of which huge amount in terms of forex will be saved. Secondly, it will be leading to strategic autonomy in the decision making or the policy making, that is the consideration of other countries' opinion will be reduced in our policy making, so that it will make our policy making more oriented towards the need of the Indian country, and then it will be increasing the industries across the different regions. Similarly, because of increased industries, there will be increased employment also, and then the industries will be survived only if the MSMEs have the strong hold. So the strengthening of the defense as well as the other aerospace related industries will in turn strengthen the MSMEs. So these are all the positive impacts the indigenization creates. But what is the challenges for creating the indigenization is technological transfer. Firstly, from the news itself we could able to see that the engine, that the tech transfer in relation to the engine is not taking place. See, out of 56 C-295 aircraft that is going to be manufactured, nearly 16 are going to be manufactured in the Spain itself, and then remaining 40 is going to be manufactured in India in partnership with Tata's. And in that, out of the 40, the technology transfer in relation to the engine has not taken place, but the technology transfer in relation to other peripheral components has taken place. So what is more important for the aircraft is the engine only. So we could able to see a certain hesitancy in the tech transfer in relation to the core element of the aircraft. So this kind of hesitancy by the developed as well as other organization delays the tech transfer to in terms of important technological products, and then because of lack of skilled resource, the indigenization effort is also getting delayed, and then the lack of infrastructures that needed to strengthen the industries is also getting delayed, and then bureaucratic hurdles as well as red tapeism is also another cause for the delay in the indigenization. So these are all the challenges right now it has been posed on indigenization. And what are the other things which we needed to study is we should know about what is national investment pipeline. We should also know about what is national NIIF. Similarly, you should also know about INVIT, and then we should also know about C-17 Globemaster. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Trade deficit climbs to 10-month high in August. Exports down 6.8%. So this is what the news is related. Merchandise export declined for 7th consecutive month in the August to $34.48 billion. Concerns have, and then there has been increased concern because of the increased interest rate in the Europe. Because of the increased interest rate in the Europe, the production of the production in the Europe will get affected, as a result of which our exports of raw material to the Europe will also get affected. So these are all the concerns being raised in terms concerns being raised by our officials in terms of the exports. How the news is related to examination is, under prelims it is related to economic as well as social development. Similarly, under mains it is related to Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, let's discuss about what is the trade deficit. Trade deficit is the difference between the merchandise export as well as the import. And if the difference between the export and the import is in positive, means if the difference between the export and import is in positive, means then it is called as trade surplus. If it is in negative, means it is called as trade deficit. And if we want to calculate the current account, means we should also include invisibles with the trade factor, so that we could able to have a holistic view about the current account products. And in terms of, if you want to calculate invisibles, means we should also know about the service related import and export, income as well as transfer. The service includes the banking service, transport service, and other tourism related service and hospitality service. So this kind of an educational service, these kind of things and its related imports as well as export will be included under service subheading. Similarly, under income, the profit that is earned from other country, the profit that is earned by other from Indian country, the insurance as well as interest income that is earned, and then the dividend and the share that has been earned. So these kind of things comes under income subheading. Similarly, under transfer, the money sent by the workers, those who are working in the other countries to India, and those people, those who are other country people, those who are working in India, sending their money to outside the India. These kind of the transfer will be included in the transfer subheading. So combining all this, you could be able to form the net invisibles. So by charting out the difference between the trade as well as the net invisibles, the trade account, we could able to come to, we could able to know about the current account. And what is the capital account? Capital capital account is the net changes of assets as well as liability in a particular year. So it will be calculated based on the sub parts like external assistance, that is the bilateral assistance and the multilateral assistance being provided by other country to India, or India providing those kind of assistance to other countries, or the multilateral institution providing the support to India, and India contributing a certain set of amount to the other multilateral organizations. These kind of things will come under external assistance. Similarly, external commercial borrowings, and then short term debt, that is those trade credits which are less than 3 years, whose duration is less than 3 years, will come under this short term debt. And then banking capitals, the asset of the banking industry that is present outside the country, the liability of the banking industry that is present outside the country, and also the non-residence deposit accounts. These are all the things comes under banking capital. Similarly, foreign investment like foreign direct investment, foreign institutional investment, foreign portfolio investment. This kind of the thing comes under foreign investment heading, subheading. So combining all this, we could able to come to capital accounts. By knowing the difference between the capital account as well as current account, we could able to know about the balance of payment of the particular country. So these are all the details in relation to current account as well as capital account. Similarly, we should also know about what impact does the trade deficit creates in an economy. First and foremost effect it creates is the depreciation. Similarly, because of the increased import and then reduced export, the demand for the local goods as well as the local industries will get reduced, which in turn will be leading to job losses. And then if we are importing more products from the outside world, means the outside world's inflation will also be affecting the local economy because of the concept called imported inflation. So importing the inflation that is present in the world arena or international market. This kind of trade deficit could be overcome by easing the policies as well as implementation, by making the policy as well as implementation more inclusive. Secondly, strengthening the basic infrastructure, and then enhancing the skill of human resources. So these are the things which will enable to overcome the trade deficit of the particular country. What needed to be studied further is we should know about what is forex reserve, what constitutes forex reserve of India. Secondly, we should also know about what is IMF, what is World Bank, what are their structure, functions, as well as there any other programs that has been implemented by them. Similarly, we should also know about balance of payment, which I have already discussed. Fourthly, we should also know about FEMA Act 1999. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of. Let's have a quick look into one practice prelims question. The term West Texas Intermediate, sometime found in news, refers to grade of crude oil, bullion, rare earth element, uranium. So I want those students, those who are watching the session online, please do comment the answer point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. With this, we have reached the end of today's current affairs session. So thank you, students.